Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? I am so excited to be back in here with you, party people. All right, so today we are all about talking about when is it a good time to start running your Facebook ads? And as you're coming on, definitely say hi, even if you're watching on the replay. Definitely chat in because I want to know, I want to see everybody and hear from you and really make a connection, right? Because now more than ever, we really need to be kind of sticking together, figuring out what we need to do to grow and scale our business and really get to predictable growth. Okay. That's my theme for this year is to have that predictability in your business because wouldn't it be nice to know I would like to have this much revenue coming in. I know that I'm going to be getting this steady flow of so many leads coming in, right? I know that I'm going to be getting a certain number of exposure every month based on the efforts that I'm making. Okay. So that's the whole reason that we're doing this predictable growth and we're going with that theme. Now, I'm super curious. Let me know in the chat if you are currently running Facebook ads or if you have run Facebook ads in the past. So I'm curious to know. So drop current or past, okay? And then I also want to know if you could drop a separate comment is, are you doing it on your own? Or do you have an agency or somebody on your team? So drop own, agency, or team. Make sense? Okay. Because the reason why I came up with this question today is this topic, I should say, is because the number one question that I get asked as an ads agency is that when should I start running my ads, right? When I'm with coaching clients, they're all like, should I be? I don't know. Like, have you ever asked yourself that same question? Because I know that I've been in group coaching programs and discovered some members really just don't think they're ready, and others thought they were ready and didn't have the success that they expected when they did run ads, right? And then what happened is they just gave up. Today, we're going to be diving into 4 ways to know when it is a good time to start those ad campaigns. And even if you are running ads, make sure you have these things put in place before you end up giving up. Does that make sense? All right, so first and foremost, you have to have a business manager and an ads account, right? An ads management account. And you need to really have at least 200 followers, right? I just had this question today on a coaching call where someone's like, how many followers do I need? And you need at least 20, okay? 200, okay? Now, you obviously need to have an ads account to run ads, like Avi, right? Like it seems obvious, but most people don't know how to do this, right? They're using Ad Center. Is that something that you've possibly done as well? What happens is not knowing when you're using Ad Center, it's not going to give you the benefits to your business and with your marketing efforts as much as running your campaigns through Ads Manager. Okay. So let's get to the first way to know when to start running ads in your business. Firstly, you must know your customers. So before you decide on which type of paid advertising that you want to try, you need to have a clear understanding of who your customers are, right? That's usually the first thing that everybody does. And I don't care what kind of course or coaching program that you have, they're usually taking you through your customer avatar because this is so important. And a lot of people kind of skip over this, or it's like, oh, I did that in so and so's program, or I did that in this, I know it. Well, this is where a lot of people miss the mark. If you have a customer persona laid out, it will be easier to decide which channels in order that you need to advertise on, right? And what to say on those marketing channels, right? So customer persona or your customer avatar is your ideal customer, male, female, what kind of age range, where do they hang out, who do they follow, where do they live, all kinds of things like that, all about the interests and their behaviors, right? Then to really hit a home run with your ads, it is so critical to know your ideal customers' pains, struggles, dreams, and desires. And more importantly, how do they talk about them? What words, like literally, what words are they using to describe them? Your messaging is really what makes or breaks everything you do when it comes to online marketing, whether it be organically or any paid strategies, right? It's so important that you speak their language. So, how can you be the detective and investigate to find out what these pain, struggles, dreams, and desires are? Well, you ask open ended questions, right? Ask them, what are you struggling with? What are, what kind of desires or what kind of results or transformations are you looking for? What are you looking to have in your business? What are you looking to have in your life, right? You can do that on your news feed, in a Facebook group, maybe a story, right? And you put a little sticker on there and you do those types of things where you're creating this conversation, you're creating this engagement where you're really kind of asking them as a point of serving them, because that's what we're here to do. A lot of people think, oh, I don't want to ask any questions. I don't want to feel salesy. However, you're really trying to compile the information as much as you can so you can serve them better. If you're not 100% clear on what they're really struggling with or what that transformation is that they want, you're not going to know this. And when I see people like skyrocket and they like just take off and they're so successful, and some people kind of stay the same or possibly decline, this is where it all comes into play. Okay. So you can come up with 1,000,001 ways to ask these questions based on the solutions that you solve, right? The solutions that your product or your service solves. So start paying closer attention to what your current customers are saying, whether it be on a discovery call or on a coaching call. Like really like start to listen with a different ear, if that makes sense. So start to listen a little bit differently, coming from a different perspective. Yes, you're coaching, and sometimes maybe you record that call, and then when you get off, you go back and re-listen to those words you're serving so you can be present and give the support that you need to your client at that time, if that's what feels better for you. So when you're interacting live, it's a great time to dive deeper into what the root of the issue is by asking additional questions. Okay. So what do I mean by this? I always give this example, and that is usually, and only because I've had this experience in my previous life when I started in network marketing. And that was, I was a Beachbody coach. So everything was about fitness and weight loss and all this stuff. So a lot of people think, okay, most women, not all, they always feel like, oh, I can drop a couple pounds or I can like lose a little off of here, right? So you automatically think that it's all about the weight loss. But in actuality, that's not necessarily why they want to lose weight, or that's not the main reason. That's not the deeper why. It could be that they want to be able to walk up a flight of stairs without getting out of breath, right? It could mean maybe they want to work on their own self-confidence, right? Maybe they're like, financially, I can't afford to buy a whole new wardrobe. I need to get back into the wardrobe I already have. Maybe it's like, oh, I want some romance back in my relationship, right? Maybe it's, I want to get on the floor and play with the kids. So you don't know what that deeper rooted issue is, okay? So that's what you're really trying to dig down and really figure out, what is their why, or what is the reason that they're really trying to do this, okay? And as a coach, you should know this, because when someone gives you a reason or an excuse as to why they're not doing something, right? There's always a deeper why, right? It's usually fear. Most of it is coming from fear, described in very different ways, but that's the root of it, right? And we know that as a coach. So you need to figure out where their deeper why is, okay? So make sure, like I said, to record the calls, take really great notes, and collect as much data as you possibly can, and then use it in your messaging. That's what you're going to be testing, right? And see what your audience is responding to, and then continue to tweak and tweak until you nail it. And how do you know if you nail it? Well, it's because you'll start getting more sales, right? You start getting those conversations, because your goal is going to be, you want someone to be saying like, OMG, like she's totally talking to me. Like she really gets me. Or how does she know exactly what I'm thinking? Is there like camera somewhere in my house, right? And ultimately to say, I need to work with her. All right. The second way to know when to start running ads in your business is you have a way to collect your leads. Okay. You have some sort of way. You want to make the most out of your advertising dollars. So the idea of running paid ads is to bring in more traffic into your funnel, right? Get more exposure to you and to your brand, right? So we have the funnel. So we want to just get as much traffic in there, right? So you want to make sure that you have a way to collect these leads or grow your email list to nurture them and really build your relationship with them. Because we all know that social media is meant to be social, right? So whenever you see this and you're like, oh, I'm just going for the sale, I'm just going to put this out there, and my expectation is I'm going to get all these sales. People who don't know me are just going to buy from me. We all know that's not the case, okay? So what we want to look to do is really, how can we make a connection and start a conversation that then builds the relationship? And the conversation could be like an actual conversation of us talking, or it could be something in social where they got on your podcast, maybe they follow your Facebook Live, they join your group, and that's the way they're having the conversation because they start engaging with you on social. Okay. And just a reminder that part of the goal in running ads is to get that steady flow of new people into your funnel. Those new people are cold, right? They're just become aware of who you are and what you're about. And the idea is to provide something of value in exchange for their email. So put some thought into what you think, what are their biggest problem is, like something that like comes up all the time, right? And what solution that you can provide, and something that they'll be like, wow, this was super helpful. And it really gets them a quick win, right? So there's all kinds of lead magnets that I'm sure that you heard of that you can create, like some sort of checklist. Maybe it's a video series. Maybe it's a webinar that they come up to, maybe some audio recordings. So maybe you put like a bunch of podcast episodes together. It could be a challenge, some sort of workbook. Quizzes sometimes, help people. Maybe it's a free trial or a special offer, right? Also, too, like, don't make this too complicated. Like, think about, do you have something that maybe you've recorded already, right? Like I was mentioning about the podcast. Maybe it's some live videos that you did and you're like, oh my gosh, this was such good information. If I bundle these few videos together, now I don't have to do more work, but I know that the information that I said in these videos is really going to help somebody. Bundle it together and give that for free. It's free anyway because it's on your podcast or it's on your social feed, right? So think about those types of things and don't feel like you're married to one, right? See what works. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Because remember, when you have a client, you solve one problem. However, there's multiple problems that come in. Does that make sense? I might have said that kind of mixy, but they might see it as a different problem. Because like, remember, let's just say it was fear, right? My product is to help you overcome fear, but you see fear in different ways. So you might see like being overwhelmed or stressed, right? Maybe it's imposter syndrome, right? Maybe it's self-sabotage. But maybe somebody who identifies with self-sabotage is not identifying with overwhelm or is not identifying with something else. But when they see self-sabotage, they'll be like, oh my gosh, that's totally me. But when they see this, they don't relate to themselves as this, even though we know it's the same thing. In their mind, it's not relating. Does that make sense? So you might have to kind of mix it up. Your goal is for them to say, this was so helpful. I want to continue to follow her and get more and more value, more and more quick wins, and ultimately really need to just be buying whatever it is that you're selling. Okay. And most importantly, when it comes to this segment that we're talking about, is you have to have a holistic marketing strategy in place. And what I mean by that is you have to have your email nurture, your sales sequence, like all in automations set up, your content is planned out, and your community is there for them to come into. Okay. Now, the third way to get to know when you're ready to start running ads in your business is you have a proven sales process in place. What do I mean by this? The role of your ad is to get the click. That's it, right? It's your job to make the lead or the sale. So it's vital that you have a proven sales process in place. Let me know in the chat if you do have a sales process in place. I'm just curious, right? And some of you might even be thinking like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to make sales? Because maybe you don't do a call, right? But you do have some sort of sales process. So do you have those email sequence in place? Do you have your funnel somewhere to come back and follow up with them, right? So let's talk about a few options of the sales process that you could get in place right now. The first one is an email nurture sequence. So this is usually 3 to 5 email series. So 3 to 5 individual emails that's put into place after your audience opts into your lead magnet, right? So it's taking the opportunity to let them really get to know you and what you're about on a deeper level than just what they would see on social, right? You're going to continue to provide them more value because, again, these people are cold. So we don't want to just go from cold to the sale and be like bro marketing and be super spammy. We want to show them that, hey, we're here to support you. We want to give you as much value as we can to guide you to the results that you're looking for, right? So maybe send them to a blog. Maybe you invite them to join your Facebook group, something like that, okay? Now, your email sales series. This is a 5 to 7 email series that's put into place after your audience has been exposed to your offer. So take this opportunity to share the transformations that they will receive once they buy your product or service. So share some testimonials of other clients, create some urgencies to commit to investing in themselves, and then ultimately make a buying decision. All right. Then you might also have like an actual person to respond to the comments or DM. So you might have heard of this as referred to as like a social seller, right? So depending on your type of business, you might have, maybe it's your social media manager, maybe it's just another member on your team, right? Some sort of an admin or a salesperson on your team that will respond to the comments in your posts or your videos and then engage with them so they really do feel special, and more importantly, they feel heard. Now, if you're running some sort of messenger ads, do you have a sales team in place to respond to these messages, to take them on that journey to book a call, or to get them to invite them to the webinar and then follow up after they watch the webinar, right? The goal is to get these prospects while they're hot. So if you wait 3 to 4 days, and in some cases just a few hours, those prospects will turn cold and then move to your competition, right? Same goes for brick and mortar businesses. What is your sales process once you get a lead, right? How are you getting them in the door? And then once they're in the door, how are you getting them to become a new customer or a repeat customer? Because remember, the sale doesn't always stop in the transaction, it stops in the transformation. So some of your or all of your businesses, you should be looking at what is the sales process to get a resell or an upsell, right? And even possibly a referral. So when I coach, I like to look at what am I doing for all three, okay? Now, another way is a calendar to schedule discovery calls, right? So a huge value is that people actually getting on the phone with you for a one-on-one call, right? Either for you or for a coach on your team, let's say. This is a super effective sales strategy. So do you have a scheduler like Acuity or a Calendly in place where you give a link that goes straight to booking the call? That way, while they're hot, they're thinking about, they're like, yes, let me check my calendar right now. I'm going to schedule a day and time and get it on there, right? And the great thing about Acuity or Calendly is that you can set the expectations for the call, as well as require them to answer specific questions before your meeting to see if they really are a good fit for your services. This way, you're not wasting their time or wasting your time. Now, if you choose to, you can set up qualifying parameters. And if they don't meet those parameters, then you have an email or someone on your team, let them know, and then they delegate the calls to a different team member based on their qualifications, right? So let's say they apply for a mastermind program and you have a certain an income requirement, right? Well, then they're not hitting there, but then now you have a downsell for them. So then how can you get them there, still serving the client and not putting them away, still making them feel special and making them feel heard and saying, hey, we want to do everything we can to get you to a minimum of whatever that requirement is. So then you can then enter the mastermind, but let us guide you and help you get to that point. Okay. Does that make sense? All right, cool. Well, the goal is for you to get pre-qualified prospects on these calls and really find a way to know, when these people are actually a good product, a good customer for you, that you can serve them best. Okay. Yes. Okay, good. And then the final way to know when you're really ready to start running ads is that you're mentally and financially ready to invest. And I know I've said this before, so if you've been following me for any time, and I'll probably say it a million times again, so thank you for your patience in advance. There is no guarantee of a return on investment with advertising, right? It is so important that you are mentally prepared that no matter what happens, you know that you have gotten data. You've gotten metrics to work with to be able to see what worked and what didn't, so you can tweak and test again. And remember, more importantly, you have gotten so much exposure to new people who are now aware of you and your brand. Okay. So when you're starting out, and you don't even have to start with a huge advertising budget, you do need to be able to comfortably set aside funds before you consider running paid advertising. Marketing should always be part of your budget. So when you do, and if you're not already as an entrepreneur, is you should be looking at your numbers at least once a week, right? Then if not monthly and quarterly and all that good stuff. So are you looking at your budget as a whole and making sure marketing is included there? Because if you're not getting new leads coming through your funnel, your business is quickly going to come to a stop, because you're going to run out of people to talk to. Your organic marketing strategies can only get you so far. Okay, you only have enough bandwidth to do so many things organically. Then you could do some of it on like autopilot, as they say, and have those leads coming in every single day, right? Your goal is to come up with a monthly advertising budget and eventually scale that budget once you're getting more leads and more sales. So when I speak to clients that don't think they're ready, their reasoning is, I'm not ready to launch my product. That's another thing. Okay. So in my opinion, like if they say, well, I don't have a product, or I'm not ready to launch, right? My challenge is not coming up for another 2 months. Okay. And then they want to run ads a couple of days before and then expect thousands of people to come in. And it just doesn't work that way. In my opinion, you should always be running ads all the time, right? I cannot stress enough that you need to be building that steady flow of new followers and move them through your marketing funnel to become raving fans, right? To become primed and ready to buy from you. So even if your offer is not finalized yet, you can always invite them to join your group, right? Grab that lead magnet and continue to provide value and building your authority, and show them that you are the person that can help them solve their problem. Because like I said, your goal is to get them primed and ready to buy. Okay. And even if you're like, I don't have a lead magnet, I don't have a group, I don't, okay, all the reasons that you don't have, which could be fine, get them to comment in, right? Now, when I speak to clients that attempted to run ads and they didn't have success, they most likely didn't have all the pieces of their funnel in place, so they didn't see the results that they were looking to achieve. Now, this is definitely not a reason to write off running ads, as there are a lot of people who are having success with Facebook and Instagram ads, even in today's environment, right? When everybody's like, Facebook prices are so high, I'm going to jump ship, and all their other reasons and excuses. However, there are a lot of people out there, not just the influencers, who have the big bucks to put away. And on a side note, a lot of the big influencers that were spending, tens of $1,000s a month are not doing that anymore. They have shifted their strategy so they can as well afford to do this, right? So when I'm looking at not only the influencers, but I'm looking at your entrepreneurs just like you and me, if they can do this and have this success and scale faster, right? Because they're using the power of Facebook ads, so can you, right? It's all about getting all of these pieces together and finally have this functioning funnel. All right, we are definitely going to be diving into so much more that inside of this Facebook group, because we are all about creating this predictable growth in our business and in our lives, really, like as people, like who we want to be, because we are all becoming something super awesome, right? So I can't wait to dive in. Let me know if you got value from today's video. Okay. Now, there were lots and lots and lots of action steps. I probably just went way into a lot. I hope it wasn't too much. Definitely go back and watch it out, because we will break these things down. Okay. Now, I just wanted to kind of recap that you of what you should be doing, so you know when you're ready to start running ads. Okay. And make sure, and if you like are wanting to make sure that you have the steps in place before you make a decision to turn those campaigns on or off. All right. So, number one, you want to make sure you have business manager and an ads account, right? And you want to make sure that you're running all of your ads through Ads Manager, not through Ads Center, okay? You really want to get to know who your customer is and speak their language. And then we want to figure out at least one lead magnet or one something call to action that you can provide to your prospects, right? And honestly, nowadays, you don't even need to set up your funnel if you're all like, oh, I don't know about tech and design and blah, blah, blah. I don't know what to say. You don't even need that anymore, okay? Now, the fourth thing is you need to get a sales process in place. And fifth, you need to decide on your monthly advertising budget. Because in order to create predictable growth, you need to put yourself out there, because you cannot sell if nobody knows who you are. You can no longer stay the best kept secret. You must be seen to sell. Okay. So we are on a mission. If you're committed to be on a mission to create predictable growth in your business, type in committed. Okay. I appreciate you so much for being here with me today. And definitely tag me and let me know what your takeaway was from today's video. And I just want to say a big cheers to making the decision to invest in your business with marketing with Facebook ads. And until next time, let's grow your business together.